Hey guys, Ty Lord here coming at you with a pickups video. All kinds of video games and media. I got a package from my buddy Retro Tiburon. He sent me a generous little package here. I got one coming back out to you, Mario, another package. I was going to find a couple more things before I send it out. But he sent me this nice little package here. It's got some video games and movies. First thing he sent me looks like this must be a PlayStation camera. Is that what that is? Or some kind of computer? Oh yeah, a Logi camera. So I'm thinking I can possibly use that on my PS4 so I can stream some more Resident Evil. No. Maybe I can use it on the Xbox too, I'm not sure. But he got me that. Wow, some video games here. I'm really looking forward to playing these. I don't know what this is either. It's a cartridge. It's for Sega Genesis. Looks like a repro or some kind of homebrew. It's called Top Fighters 2000 or Top Fighter 2000. Looks like it has old Kyo from King of Fighters and Ryo from Art of Fighting there. Hopefully it has it. I have no idea what this is. I can't wait to play it. It says MK on there. I don't know. Unless it's just like a collection of fighting games on a cartridge. I don't know what that is. And then I didn't even know this existed from Tech Toy. Is this an official thing or is this like a homebrew? King of Fighters 98 for Genesis? I can't wait to play this. Like, this is fantastic. I don't know where he came by this stuff. King of Fighters 98 Slugfest from Tech Toy. I don't know if it's officially a Tech Toy thing or because weren't they the Brazilian company that always would make Master System games into the later years. So that's fantastic to have that. He sent me this. Oh man, this is going up on the shelf here. One of the first PlayStation games I ever played. The thing that sold me on the PlayStation was this game, Resident Evil. The long box here. Doesn't have the front cover, but I don't care. It's got the back of it. Oh man, that brings back so many memories. And the manual here. Yeah, this is the game that sold me on the PlayStation 1. Probably one of my favorite games of all time. I'll get to my favorite game coming up here soon, but this seems so much like a movie, like a horror movie. It was almost like an interactive George A. Romero movie or something. And it had FMVs and it had 3D characters and pre-rendered realistic background environments. A cool environment, a cool setting, a cool big mansion out in the forest. A lot of zombies and a lot of weird creatures, a lot of funny characters, a lot of cheesy dialogue with funny voice acting. I love this thing. And then one more game he sent me. Oh, another Resident Evil. Oh, and that looks like it's a sealed one. We were going to start playing this one co-op online, Resident Evil 6. I beat it before. The weird thing is about this game was when it came out, I played it and I didn't really care for it as much as 5, but I enjoyed it. And I only played through Leon's campaign. That was the only campaign I played through. And then I was hyped up about Resident Evil 7 and I played the demo quite a bit, but when that game came out I never played it. And I was kind of like, I don't want, this is like a first person like horror game. Like, it doesn't really feel like Resident Evil to me, and that kind of like made me go back and play this because this actually feels like you can see the characters and has all your favorite familiar Resident Evil characters. So I went back and I played all the other campaigns, the Jake and Sherry Birkin one and the Chris campaign, and then there was an Ada campaign, and they were all good. It seemed like a high budget action movie. And I recently started getting back into it, playing it on my Switch. The mercenary modes is pretty darn cool. All of if you like the new Resident Evil 4, the combat's kind of similar in this. Like, you can shoot him in the head and stun him, and then go over and do a melee attack. Leon has like a cool like arm twist into like Ipponsei Onagi, the shoulder throw, judo throw. And he's got like a bulldog, like a WWF bulldog if you hit him from behind, like a. And he has all kinds of karate moves. It almost feels like a beat 'em up game. He gets tired. I think there's all kinds of cool like moves in this. Like Chris has like a body slam, like Ultimate Warrior style. And that guy Jake has like a float over DDT he does to the zombies. There's like cool action in this game. And then he sent me this thing. I might have had this. Oh, Funhouse. Yeah. Cool. I was about to watch this one. Funhouse, Toby Cooper's. He mentioned it in my last video when he came to visit. He got Funhouse on Blu-ray, so he sent me the Funhouse collection here. Funhouse directed by Toby Hooper. Is that the one? Yeah. So I'm looking forward to this one. It's supposed to be like Texas Chainsaw Massacre in a carnival or a circus or something. And then Phantasm 2 is fantastic. I don't know if I've seen that. I may have had this. And Serpent in the Rainbow is really good, voodoo type movie. Yeah, so it's cool that he sent me that. And then he sent me a couple Stephen King VHSs. Got Pet Sematary here, which is a cool addition. It's been a while since I've seen that one. I can't really... with the little kid zombie. And then my favorite Stephen King movie, probably The Cat's Eye. I love this movie. It's a collection of like 3 or 4 short movies, kind of like in the same style as like Tales from the Crypt or Tales from the Dark Side or the Twilight Zone movies. Cool little stories in here. Not super scary, but super bizarre. One of them has a little baby Drew Barrymore, where she takes in the cat, a stray cat, and it's protecting her from this little troll that lives under her room. It's a really weird little story. One of them I really like has James Woods in it, where he's trying to quit smoking. He goes to this clinic to quit smoking, and they pretty much harass him and kidnap his wife and terrorize him to get him to quit smoking. It's a really hilarious story. One of them was pretty cool. Like the bad guy is a obsessive gambler, and he kidnaps this guy. I think it's Robert Hayes from Airplane, and makes him like scale across like the top floor of a skyscraper around, and he's betting whether he'll survive or not. It's kind of a cool story. But I love this movie. It was the first time I heard the song "Every Breath You Take" from the Sting and the Police. Although I think it's a cover version in this, but I always liked that song ever since. "Every Breath You Take" by Sting. And that's it for the package from Mario. Very generous stuff here. Delighted to have it all in my collection. There wasn't one turd in that whole thing. Sometimes we send little joke gifts to each other, but okay, before we get on to my pickups, I got for my birthday I pre-ordered this for me many months ago. Resident Evil 4. I just finished this game last night, and then I was mentioning to my wife that I'd probably want to get it on PS4 also, so I could stream it. And I like to play every single version of Resident Evil 4 on every console ever made. And on my birthday, my wife happened to get me the PS4 version, so I've been playing both of these quite a bit. I beat it on this one last night. I was trying to beat it before March was over, but I had to stay up a couple of hours into May to beat this. And man, what an experience. At first I was kind of iffy about it, like it was kind of difficult, and I wasn't quite sure about the changes they made in this. By the end of it, I fell in love with it. Like I was replaying it all over again for the first time back on GameCube. Very, very familiar, yet very, very different. It's almost like I play the game so much on the other consoles, the original version, like this seems a lot different to me. But I'm sure if you would have played the GameCube version back 18 years ago one time, And if you hadn't played it for many years and played this, it would probably feel like the same game, because a lot of the environments and the settings, even the rooms, are very deja vu. Like, they look the same as the original, but they're not. Like, the rooms are set up differently, and the maps are set up a little bit differently. But if you see a spot in like a room or a section of the room, and you say, man, that's just like a photo taken out of the old game. So there's similarities and differences. I don't want to knock it for being too similar, and I don't want to knock it for being different. Stuff was cut from it, but many things have been added. It took me over 20 hours to beat this. I think that's what it took me to beat the original one the first time playing through. Yeah, a lot added, a lot more difficult in certain areas, but a lot easier in most areas, I thought. A couple of the areas I was not looking forward to playing in this, because I wasn't quite accustomed to the controls yet. So I was not looking forward to a couple rooms in this version, but they turned out to be pretty darn easy. Like, the water hall was a lot easier than the original. The final battleground at the end is a lot easier. The final boss, I don't think he was ever that tough before. He's pretty much the same in this one. I don't want to give too much away. Most of the biggest similarity with this are most of the boss fights are almost identical, but they look better, and stuff has been added to them. Like the lake monster fights, almost identical. It just looks a million times better graphically. The El Gigante fight's pretty much the same. Krauser's fight is the only one that kind of gave me trouble, as did the original one when I first played. Good luck though, or good news though. The Krauser battle, the final stage of Krauser, is not timed, so you don't have to beat him in a certain amount of time. So that makes it a little easier. I thought he was the toughest boss though, because I'm not giving away any spoilers, because everyone knows about Krauser and all that. But the lead up to him was it was pretty epic, and the whole last section of this game is pretty darn epic. Man, I love this game. This might just be my new favorite game, along with the original. I just want to go back through and play it through a million more times. I don't have the time to do it. I had to go I work 10 hours, and I go to the gym for an hour and a half, and then I get home at night, and I try to play it as much as I can. But this is going to turn into a Resident Evil 4 review or thoughts on this. But I just couldn't put it down. Like, once I got to a save point, I'd save it, and then I'd go, okay, I'm going to stop it. I'd go a little bit more. Now I'll go back and save it. I ended up saving this game like 44 times. I got a B ranking. Like I said, yeah, the weapons, my same little strategy I used on the old game, so it feels very at home, very similar to me. I keep the Punisher the whole time, and it starts off with a reticle instead of a laser sight, which I don't care for the reticle, but I bought the laser sight reticle, or laser sight for the pistol, and that was a game changer. Like, I started mowing through the game. Like, a lot of the areas I went through without even using the shotgun or the rifle, just only the Punisher. And the Punisher is so good because it can shoot through multiple enemies, so it gets your accuracy up, and it takes less ammo. It might not be the most powerful gun, but it goes through. If you can line up the enemies, you can hit like 3 or 4 at once. At the end, you can hit 5 at once. So it's really maximizes your pistol ammo. I got an upgraded attaché case that gives you more handgun ammo drops, so that was the way to go for me. So yeah, so just like the original game, I just kept the original wood grain shotgun and the Punisher, and I got the assault sniper rifle with a sight. That's pretty much how and the broken butterfly. That's pretty much all I go through the game with. On the original, broken butterfly, the ammo is sparse, and it doesn't seem like it's all as good. I don't know, I might be wrong, but it doesn't seem like it's as powerful as the original one. I might be wrong, though. What other weapons did I get? I think that was about it for my first playthrough. I can't wait to go play through with some of the other weapons. New Game Plus is on here. I already went a few levels into that. It's so satisfying to play through the game again with all your upgrades. The knife, they took a page from Breath of the Wild. Leon's knife breaks. Now it wears out and breaks, which is kind of aggravating, but it kind of gives it the gameplay more depth, I guess. You can pick up butter knives and kitchen knives and fishing knives along the way to use so your knife doesn't wear out. You need that knife to parry. There's a knife parry. If timed correctly, you can stun them. There's a knife parry, and you can do executions with the knife. One of the enemies kind of turns into like a crimson head. After you kill certain enemies, they'll twitch around and they'll come back to life, and they'll be like faster, stronger zombies. So you can execute them on the ground before they turn into that, which is nice. With your knife, that wears your knife out. You can sneak up on enemies, do a stealth kill, like Splinter. A lot of this feels like Splinter Cell. Stealth kill, that wears your knife out. When I first played the original Resident Evil, it was fresh after I played Splinter Cell, and I was thinking, man, it would be... I guess deep down, I always wanted Resident Evil 4 to have dual analog modern controls with stealth kills, because I always thought that when I first played it. Like, it'd be cool if you could sneak around on these villagers and stealth kill them. Now this game has it. This crouch button is also used as a duck button for a lot of quick timed events. So like if an enemy swings something at you, you can hit the crouch button. Leon will crouch under. It's used in a lot of boss fights. Speaking of Leon, I'll get to the characters here. Leon's pretty darn cool. I think everyone was kind of upset. He was kind of turning into an emo, kind of a mopey guy, kind of a PTSD guy. He wouldn't have his funny one-liners and be kind of cocky like the original Resident Evil 4 Leon, who seemed like a super seasoned secret agent. But this one, I would say within the cutscenes, he's very, very serious guy, like trained very well. But during the gameplay, like it's the same old Leon, like all the one-liners he'll say. So during the game, it just seems like the old Leon. During the cutscenes, it's more like he's an evolution of his character in the Resident Evil 2 remake. Like, he's still the same guy that's always trying to do the right thing, always trying to help people. But he's way more seasoned, way more better trained in this one. What else? He's got one of my favorite lines is with the two Chainsaw Sisters. I think they're called the Bella Sisters. They come at you in this game during that fight. They come at you with chainsaws, and they're like mobbing Leon, and he says, "Whoa, sorry ladies, I'm a one-woman type of guy." So he has some like funny little one-liners. Ashley's in there. She's way more realistic of a character. She kind of seemed like a little cartoon character in the other one, which I didn't mind it. I thought it was kind of funny and cute, but she seems more like you're kind of like scared for her in this. She seems like almost like a real person, how like a real young girl would act in a situation like this. And it's cool to get back to a game like in modern day where there's a strong male character trying to protect a female. That's what males should do. I don't know, it just gives me a nice warm feeling. Like, that's what games have always been about. Mario trying to save a princess, Link trying to save a princess. It's almost like Leon's trying to save the princess, and she's not totally useless, like totally helpless. Like, she can hold her own in a lot of situations, but still she's like a young little 100-pound girl, and these monsters are picking her up and carrying her away. So it really gives like you anxiety and really pumps you up, like when you're trying to save this young girl or this young woman. But yeah, a lot more realistic of a character. I mean, it all is pretty cartoony if you think about it. I would say this kind of seems more like a thriller, and the old games seem more like G.I. Joe or something. Ada, so we got Leon, Ada, or Leon, Ashley, Ada. Ada's character model looks freaking fantastic. She's in there pretty much the same. You get a little bit more into her. Like, she's kind of struggling between doing the right thing or doing the thing for the money. Luis, the same thing. Like, Luis, they kind of play more into him how he's trying to redeem himself because he's done a lot of work for a lot of bad people in the past, and he becomes like an ally to Leon more than this. He fights him with Leon as a buddy in the cabin fight scene, but also there's a section of the game with Luis as your partner, and it's a really cool segment, and there's cool little banter between these guys. Leon doesn't care for him at first, but then they become buddies. It's a really cool segment of the game. He helps you out in a couple fights that were really tough in the original version, so it makes it a lot easier. What else? Krauser is in here, and they really make him despicable in this one, like very unlikable, but I thought he was a cool character. Even his model and his voice kind of reminded me of Rutger Hauer in this one, so I go, man, Krauser is really cool in this version, and his boss fight is epic. Who else? Ramon Salazar is in here, but they just call him Ramon, is his first name. I don't think they ever mention him as Salazar. It's always just Ramon. The little guy, the Duke or the Prince or whatever he is. Really creepy little guy. Way more detailed. His boss fight's a little bit different. It was a pretty tough boss fight. I don't think I died on him, but I barely scraped by him. What else? Oh, and then Osman Sadler, the boss, is way more creepy in this one. He seemed like a G.I. Joe villain or something in the old one. This one, he is really creepy, almost like a horror movie, like cult leader, like super plays into the religious theme. A really creepy guy. This whole game reminds me more of even more of that Stuart Gordon movie Dagon, even than the original one. This had to been inspired by Dagon, Stuart Gordon's Dagon, inspired by H.P. Lovecraft's Shadow over Innsmouth. It's set in Spain. There's crazy villagers. There's an evil cult leader that comes over and takes over the village and possesses them and turns them into weird creatures, just like this. It's set in Spain. This one seems so much like Dagon. It seems like it actually even seems like a movie adaptation of the old video game. Like everything looks so real. It's like how you would imagine like a movie adaptation of the original Resident Evil 4 to look like. Great. Yeah, so weapons. I should have written down notes. I had so much to say about this, but I've been babbling on long enough. I didn't see much differences. I'm not like a graphics whore or graphics snob, so of course this one looks better, but like once I got into playing this one, I couldn't really tell you like all the big differences. Just maybe like the textures were kind of more flat, and like the lighting and stuff is so amazing in this. Like even the stained glass scene inside the church, like you do the stained glass puzzle, the stained glass window puzzle, all those lights are actually casting their own color onto the church. So you walk around and there'll be blue and magenta and green and yellow all over Leon or wherever it's shining at. It's really cool lighting effects. And that's just one example of all the great stuff in this game. Yeah, get the laser sight in this. It'll make the game so much easier, or so much more less frustrating. I was having a hard time aiming with that reticle. Like, of course, the shotgun, you don't need it because you just kind of pick it up and point to it. But I like the pistol work I like to do in these games. It's so much easier with the laser sight. Man, great game. I would go home and play it right now. Who knows how many times I'm going to play through that game. Did I talk enough about that? That's one game I would have done a review on, but I don't really have time to sit there and make notes and write out a review. But man, that great thing, or discuss the differences on between the other game. Anyway, let's get on to the other media pickups. Got some more VHS for my weirdo collection. I got Brandon Lee and Rapid Fire. I forgot if I had that or not, but that's the one I definitely want in my VHS collection. Here's one movie I had on DVD and I love it. American Kickboxer. It comes in a rental case. So the original has been damaged. Good old Canon film. This is probably one of my favorite sports kickboxing movies. It's so freaking good. It's got Keith Vitale, like big time world kickboxing champion, and the main guy John Barrett is really good too. I don't know if he's I'm sure he's a real competitive karate guy, but he's a heck of a good actor too. Like really good charisma. I love him in this, and the sequel to this is called To the Death. The sequel to this is not called American Kickboxer 2, and there is an American Kickboxer 2, but it's not the sequel to this. The sequel to this is To the Death with John Barrett, and he plays the same character. What was his name? BJ Quinn. Yeah, I recommend this series of movies, though. Even American Kickboxer 2, like they're big, a lot of fun, a lot of cool martial arts, like action. But oh, I got one more game for 95 cents. I got this one. I think I could probably get some credit for it. Yeah, it's not. Well, it's got some Sharpie on it, but I know how to get that off. Saints Row the Third. I think I can get a few dollars credit for that at the game store, because I think my wife already has this on 360 and on Switch. Here, I thought this was a good deal, even though I have both of these, and I've never seen these movies, but I've been wanting to do a marathon on them. Wishmaster 1 and 2. A nice little case there. Has like a little insert. Wishmaster 1 and 2, so excellent. Like this guy here looks like something from Resident Evil 4. Oh, look at this demon down here, this devil guy. I've never seen these. Who did these? Robert Kurzman and Jack Schotter. So I really know little about these. I'm ashamed to say I've never seen them. Let's see, any more scary ones? No. Here's one I wanted for my collection I didn't have. I like this movie, Highlander 3. What's it called? The Final Dimension. And that one's got Christopher Lambert, of course, and the bad guy is Mario Van Peebles, which is a cool bad guy. Who else was in here? Mako's in here. And then another Chuck Norris. I think I already had this in a compilation, but I thought I'd pick it up. Delta Force with Chuck Norris and Lee Marvin. Cool, like terrorist airplane hijack movie. The villain is actually, George Kennedy is in it too, but the villain is actually Robert Forster. He plays like a Middle Eastern terrorist. He's music by Alan Silverstreet, that did Back to the Future and Predator. So that's good. I forgot if I had this one or not. I knew I had it on VHS. Hard to Kill. This is probably my favorite Seagal movie. Probably the first one I saw. It had a big impact on me when I was a kid. My dad and I watched this around 1990. I think it was released, 1990. Yeah, really cool action movie. I got $1 Billion Brain with Michael Caine and Carl Malden here. This is from the Harry Palmer series. Harry Palmer. Which is a spy series, a spy thriller series. Michael Caine has the glasses in him. He plays Harry Potter, the MI6 spy, or some kind of secret agent. Yeah, MI5. The only one I've seen is Ipcris File. It's the first one, and I freaking love that movie. It was so hard for me to find it. It was a spy thriller about like Cold War and like brainwashing techniques, and it was a really cool movie with Michael Caine, and it was actually produced by the James Bond producers, Harry Saltzman and Albert Broccoli, and it was a fantastic movie, and the soundtrack was done by John Barry, so it had a fantastic score. Like sometimes I just listen to that score. It's so creepy and eerie. But I haven't seen this one. This one's not produced. Yeah, this one's still produced by Harry Saltzman. And I know there's a few others in this series, but I haven't seen them because I don't know what order they're in. But here's another good one. Physical Media Mac was just hyping this one up, and I'd seen it when it came out, and I was super impressed by this, but I need to give it a rewatch. It has to do with giant Korean monster, and it has to do with like viruses and quarantine and all that, so kind of relevant in today's world. That's The Host. It says on par with Jaws. It's pretty darn good. I don't know if I would say that, but I wouldn't be offended if someone said that. The monster in this is CGI, but it's like the best CGI I've ever seen on a monster. There's one scene at the beginning where it comes up out of the ocean, and there's a highly traffic like a pier or like a dock area, like a lot of people out about on this in this town. This monster jumps out, and you can see it running from a distance along the dock, and people are jumping off and moving out of the way, and it's like running like a big dog down the I forget if it's like a beachfront or a pier, but it's freaking scary looking. And this thing captures people and takes them to their nest. It's about this family. I forget if they're trying to rescue their sister, or someone gets captured by this monster, and it's in the nest, and they have to escape like quarantine. It's a really weird movie. I haven't seen it in about 10 or 15 years, but fantastic movie. Oh man, I was so pleased to find this for $1. 8 action movies. Total Recall, 2070, Machine Dreams. I remember Physical Media Mac was hyping that up, so I got to watch that. And it's got Fortress. That's Stuart Gordon's Fortress with Christopher Lambert, which I need to watch. I haven't seen that. Cypher with Lucy Liu. Convict. I'm not sure about what Convict is. I see a cyborg there, though. It's Convict 762. Every kill makes him stronger. Well, that should be a good... I'm into the cyborg movies. PWM really got me into the cyborg movies hard for a while. Equilibrium with Christian Bale is really good. That good... cool action dystopian type movie, from what I remember. Christian Bale does that ballistica style fighting, kind of like John Wick with the guns, kind of like martial arts with guns. I can't remember if it's futuristic sci-fi dystopian, if I'm what I remember. It's been a while since I've seen that one. Anyway, the highlight of this one, Trancers 1, is on here with Tim Thomerson and Holly Hunt. I love this movie. Cool time travel, zombie, action, comedy, horror, adventure movie. Really cool movie from the 80s. Kind of like a more tongue-in-cheeky, like Terminator type movie. It's really, really good. I think that's a Charles Band production, isn't it? That's like one of those full moon deals, I think. Yeah, directed by Charles Band. Oh, Convict 762. After an error leads a spaceship off course into an asteroid field, the crew is forced to stop and refuel at a penal colony. But upon landing, it's clear something isn't quite right. No one is alive except for a terrified captain babbling about convict number 762. So maybe Convict 762 is a killer cyborg. I don't know. Wait, and who's in that? Frank Zagarino's in it. What the hell? Oh, Frank Zagarino from Shadow Chaser. Oh man, I struck gold with this thing. I wonder if Frank Zagarino plays the same, if this is a Shadow Chaser movie. That sounds like it. Billy Drago's in it. Oh man. Okay. Oh man, I struck gold with that. Okay. Oh, I had to get this for my Van Damme collection. I don't think I had it. Jean-Claude Van Damme and Natasha Henstridge in Maximum Risk. I think this is a cool action espionage movie. one of his later good movies. I think, was this pre-2000, 1996? Yeah, so this is when his movies were still good. And I don't really remember it that well. And I was happy to find this. You know, I'm a big fan of anything James Bond, and I like Pierce Brosnan. This show, I never really spent much time on it, but I have season 1 here of Remington Steele. I don't know if that's the whole season, but that was $1. Remington Steele for 2 discs of season 1. Disc 1 and 2, and disc 3 and 4. I wonder if there's more to that. Maybe that wasn't such a great deal, but anyway. Yeah, the guy who was born to be Bond, especially a lot of these guys that play Bond, you can see ahead of time they're going to be Bond. That's how I kind of feel about Henry Cavill right now. Like he had an opportunity to be Bond before, and he's very Bond-esque, and he was in he's played a couple Bond type characters, just like Remington Steele here. Pierce Brosnan was in this show, so everyone knew this guy had to be Bond one time. Same thing with Roger Moore, like he was in The Saint. And I mean, this guy could be Bond, and he even played James Bond in like a variety comedy show, Roger Moore. So you know that guy was going to be Bond. This guy was born to be Bond. I'm glad we got a couple movies from Timothy Dalton. It would have been cool if he came around sooner, but I'm happy we got a couple Timothy Dalton films before he came around. So that's about it. So I babbled on about Resident Evil for about a half hour, and I spent maybe 5 minutes on everything else. Thanks again to my good buddy Tiburon. I had a blast for the not only for the mail that he sent me, but the good time we had in Sacramento the other weekend. It was a fantastic time with Omega Ace Gaming and Retro Tiburon. We all met up in Sacramento. We had a blast. I don't think I've ever got to go hang out with anyone I met on YouTube. I've always wanted to go drive out to, the time will come soon. I've always wanted to drive out to Texas, or drive through Texas and meet up with PWM. And I've always wanted to, a couple of my buddies that I met on the internet, Bad Company, and also Segalacious from the Virtual Brothers, live in Georgia. My sister and brother-in-law live there now in the Atlanta area, so I might get to visit them someday. And I got to meet my buddy Dean from Escape to Gaming. He gave me that Trinitron, but we didn't really get to go anywhere and hang out. He was just moving up to Idaho, and he gave me his Trinitron when I was up in the Sacramento area. I would like to have hung out with him. I do have family up in the Meridian area, so I might get to hang out with him one day. But this is like the first time I ever got to hang out with like my buddies from social media, so to speak. Yeah, Retro Tiburon, fantastic guy. Like I met him. I've been friends with him on like via text and streaming for a few years now. So talking to him was just like I always knew him. I've known Omega Ace for a couple months on YouTube. I met him through Tiburon, but Omega Ace and I had a lot of mutual friends and acquaintances on YouTube. I was surprised I didn't know him sooner. But man, fantastic guy. He just hit it off fantastically with Omega Ace. Just could sit there and talk about video games and stupid things like movies and video games. We went to a nice restaurant, had some good food, went to go play video games at the barcade, looked at a couple of games shops. It was a good time. Yeah, fantastic time. Hopefully I can get to go hang out with Omega Ace again. I know he's likes to go out to the Bay Area, and I'm about an hour and a half away from there, which is cool. Yeah, so I'm gonna go wrap this up and go home and play some Resident Evil 4. Tonight's WrestleMania, I might watch it with my cousin. We're kind of getting off subject here, but I haven't watched wrestling in a long time, but something my cousin told me last night made me kind of think wrestling might be good now, because I was always complaining when I watched it how when I remember when I was a kid, there was a champion and he stayed champion for a long time, like a year at least. And before that, like Bob Backlund and San Martino and those guys would be champion for years. And when I was a kid, Hulk Hogan would be champion for a long time. um, Macho Man was at least champion for a year, but I was complaining like like on these new wrestling, like it's so ADD, like the title changes like every other week, and I was, but something my cousin told me, kind of I thought was cool, was I guess Roman Reigns and his cousins, the Uso brothers, have had the Roman Reigns has had the world title, and the Usos have had the tag team world title for like 800 days or something. Like, wow. And they're like a faction, like a bad guy faction. Like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like that they were able to do that in this day and age. I don't know if that's from what my cousin told me. They've had those titles for a long time. So that kind of makes me respect it more now that like they're putting some time into the story or into the product or whatever. So I don't know if it's good or not, but I might watch some wrestling, some WWF. I think it's Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. Those guys are both pretty good. I know everyone knocks Roman Reigns, but you can't really get much better than him in this day and age. Like everyone knocked John Cena, but like there's no way. Like there was still some rollover from the older guys that he got to soar to great heights with, but that guy was like a giant ball of muscly charisma. So I don't know. I would like to get back into wrestling, but I don't really have the time for it. But I kind of thought that I liked the sound of that, how the tag team champions had been tag team champions for over 2 years, and the world champion had been champion for almost 3 years. So I thought that was cool. It kind of makes it more important when the title changes, I think, when that happens. I don't know. I know it's all phony baloney, but we all got into it when we were kids, and I think all the kids now get into it. So it's no different than watching a movie or a TV show, or real sports, which are probably all rigged and fixed too. Look at me babbling on about stuff for another. Okay, getting back to my old video links now. I might get up to 45 minutes. I haven't done an hour one in a while because my pickups haven't been as big. I haven't watched as many movies lately. I'll tell you why. I've been listening to all the James Bond novels on audiobook while I do cardio, because I don't really have any time to sit there and read. And if I do, I fall asleep. So I thought I'm going to hit 2 birds with 1 stone. I'm going to listen to all the Bond books on audio while I run. So I've gotten through all of them. I'm on the last In Flaming works now. I'm on Octopussy and Living Daylights. So I'm on the last one. I'm on Living Daylights now. So I've gone through all of them, and they're all fantastic. They make my cardio go by so fast. I kind of am ashamed of myself being such a Bond fanatic that I never read them all. I kind of put it off because I thought it might make me think less of the movies, and I like adore all of the movies, but it doesn't really. It kind of even makes me like the movies more. I would like to review them all, or get a buddy to talk about all of them, like do a book club type thing. Same thing with the movies. I'd love to discuss the movies with someone. A few of the books, I clearly like the movie better, but some of them, like, I don't know, I might like the book more. There's just so much well writing, like as ridiculous of a scenario that's put in the book, it just seems so good because of the writing, Ian Fleming's writing. I know you can tell he's a man that traveled the world and knew a lot of different cultures and a lot of different, did research on a lot of different things. Okay, sitting here babbling. Okay, I gotta get out of here so I can go play some Resident Evil 4, baby. Yeah, baby, I've been watching Toro Loco play it. Then when I'm not playing it, like if I'm waiting around at the doctor's office, or I was getting a massage right now at the gym. When I'm not playing, I'm sitting here watching Toro Loco from Fancy Action Now play it, or I'm watching Emerald Game Cave play it, or Dad Level Podcast is playing through it right now. So I can't get enough of this thing. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. Woo! Here we go, right here. We got the future and the past, both like pinnacles of the series right there. The past and the future. A lot of perfect games to come out of that series. A couple of them I don't care much for, but it pinnacles up at the first game and the second game, and then Resident Evil 4, and now the remake, and I really like 5. Oh, that other thing I forgot to mention about this. Boy, am I just jumping around from thought to thought today. I just had a good run, and I got some good Chinese food, and a good massage, so I'm feeling good today. Another thing, like, I got a really big Resident Evil 5 vibe out of this. Like, I was thinking maybe it would be cool if they did redo Resident Evil 5 with better graphics and this type of control. Because a lot of these parts seemed a lot like they took me back to Resident Evil 5, which is a fantastic game. A lot of the cooperative sections, there's one section involving Ashley that's really tough. And it's not the water hall. And it's not the wrecking ball room. It's another room that wasn't quite the same in the old one, but it was very tough. But it gave me Resident Evil 5 vibes, as did a lot of stuff in this. Okay, take it easy, Tyler. Okay, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for stopping by.